Hello everybody, welcome back to my Country Sparkles channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to freeze dry zucchini a couple different ways. This year in my garden it is overflowing with zucchini. It is August right now and it's the harvest time, and I have about 12 zucchinis that I need to get processed so that way I can use them throughout the year in winter and spring and summer next year. So freeze drying is the way I'm going to go. The different ways that I like to freeze dry zucchini is shredded and then sliced. Shredded you can use in brownies or muffins or bread or anything like that. It's a great source for that. And then sliced up I like to use in like lasagnas as noodles, or if I do little slices then as like a replacement for spaghetti as a noodle. So those are the three different ways that I'm going to be showing you today. So let's get cutting up the zucchini. Move my Bosch out of the way. That is my favorite way to shred up food. It's just what I'm used to. I love doing it. I also have a KitchenAid attachment shredder, and that also works really great, and neither has led me wrong. This just kind of has a bigger bowl where it's contained, and it's my favorite. I've used it for so many years. I just love it so much. I got my Bosch all moved out of the way, so now let's cut up our zucchini. First I'm going to cut off the ends, and all my scrap pieces I'm going to feed to my chickens, and they're going to love it this year, especially during harvest time, getting all the fresh food. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this in half, and since I'm going to be freeze drying this a couple different ways, I won't cut them all the same, but both of them need the seeds taken out, so we'll take the seeds out first. Just like this is super easy. I just have a large, soup or serving spoon. Personally like smaller spoons for my soup, but I'm pretty sure it's a soup spoon size. So those seeds are out. Both of these are de-seeded, and now I'm going to show you how I like to slice them in the long ways like that I especially use for lasagna. So this is my mandolin shredder, slicer. Currently it's going to be slicer because that's what I'm going to do with it. And you don't have to take the seeds out of this in order to make these. Maybe I'm actually going to get a half and show you both ways. So the first way is you have it shredded, but for like lasagna you want really like thicker whole pieces, right? So I've got this set to nice and thick, and I'll slice this, and then the first piece is pretty much the skin, so that's probably just trash. Make sure you keep your fingers away from the blade at all times, and then there is my pretty much pasta noodle, my lasagna noodle that I will freeze dry. Let me get freeze drying tray here, and I'll just lay it out on there. Now as you can see there's a hole in the middle, so this part I'm going to shred up, but this part I can still use for lasagna noodles. They will just be shorter. So I'll put that in there. Slice me up a couple shorter noodles, but still perfectly acceptable to use. You just layer them in there. So there's like half the size, maybe a quarter the size of lasagna noodles, but there is how I like to make the lasagna noodles without the seeds in them. And then these pieces, I'm not going to go to waste. I'm still going to shred them up, and I'll freeze dry them just as shredded zucchini to put into recipes. Okay, so here I have my mandolin and a half of unseeded zucchini here, and we'll just slice this up to freeze dry with the other ones I have already seeded, and I'll let you see that. So this piece is not so perfect because it kind of got pushed up, but that's okay. I can still freeze dry this, and it'll be a perfectly acceptable noodle to use. Let's do that again one more time. I'll take out some of these bigger seeds just with my fingers. There we go. See, still seeds in there. And we'll slice it. Just slicing like this with my mandolin. Putting it through, being really cautious of where my fingers are because I do not want them to get sliced by any means. There we go. And here is a really good slice. And then by leaving the seeds in, you still have the meat in the middle that you can use as pretty much as a super thick noodle, just like a lasagna noodle. That's what I'll do. I'll just I'll freeze dry it, and then I'll use it in place of regular noodles in my lasagna. And the seeds are totally acceptable to eat, and after freeze drying and then reconstituting, they're even soft, so you won't even notice them in your pastas like lasagna. So I'll throw all these on my freeze drying tray. You don't have to be perfect, anything like that. I'll even put a couple on top of each other, take up some room, just get some airflow in there. And then that's one way to slice them with the mandolin, and the other way is with my Bosch. So I've got my Bosch, and then the Bosch and the KitchenAid both have a slicer attachment, so you can, if you only have a KitchenAid, that's okay. You can also use that attachment. I have a shredder attachment in here right now. I'm going to trade that out for my slicer attachment, and I'm going to make sure I do the thick slices. Okay, and so now I have my zucchini here, and this one, the top especially where, so I pulled out the seeds there, this is a great solid spot for making these noodles. So let's see if this is going to fit in there. Not quite, so I'm going to have to cut this down a little bit. Let's cut this. There we go. Let's see if that's going to fit. It's a little bit better, but not quite, so I'm going to slice off this side. Just like that. And so that's going to fit in very nicely. And now let's just slice it up. There it is. We just sliced up the whole thing. And if you think these are too small for noodle size, you can always shred it up. I like to take any spare pieces and just use it as shredded zucchini. But these are nice, good sizes to replace noodles. So I'll just put those straight in on my trays, and they'll go in the freeze dryer. So that is sliced zucchini in the freeze dryer. Next, let's do shredded zucchini in the freeze dryer. Okay, I've taken all my shredded zucchini out, so now I'm going to replace the blade and put in a shredder blade. For this next step, I am using the large shredding pieces. I'll put this on, and any of these pieces that didn't quite come out how I wanted, I'm just going to shred it up. So easy, and we'll end up with as little waste as possible. So all I'm going to do is stick them in. As you can see, I did some pieces with seeds and some pieces without seeds. Now I'm going to cut this one up. This one has some scarring on the back. I'm going to cut that off first, and then I'm going to put it through my Bosch. Here we go. I'll cut off. The scarring on the outside is fine to eat. It's just tough because it's just more woody, so it's not a great texture to add to my food, so I like to cut it off. And that's all. Now let's shred it up. And here it is, all shredded up, seeds and all. You can, like I said before, definitely deseed it, but when you're shredding it, there's really no need to. The seeds will just get kind of chopped up and will blend right into your food. You won't even notice them. So now, I'm gonna grab one of my freeze drying trays and fill it up with some shredded zucchini. And I'm gonna freeze dry the shredded zucchini and the zucchini slices all at the same time. It will be just fine. Okay, here's my tray, and I'm just gonna dump this on here. super easy. And of course you want to lay it down so it's nice and even. You don't want it to be above the tray. I like to have it just a little bit below, but I also like to fill my trays up nicely so that way I'm not wasting energy as I'm freeze drying. So go spread it out so it's nice and even. And there it is, my shredded zucchini, my shredded zucchini and my sliced zucchini. And that's what they're gonna look like. And now I'm gonna go put them down in my freeze dryer. Okay, our zucchini is all done being freeze dried, so let's turn off the machine. It's mine. Just stop right there in the middle. And then I have to release the air. Let that release. And for me, I'm gonna filter this batch of oil too. So I'm gonna open this up, drain the oil, and then there's my other filtered oil. So for my next batch, I'll pour that in and then put this oil in the top of that to be filtered. And now we'll just wait for this to decompress and I'll be right back. There it is, you can hear the hissing has stopped. So now let's open it up. And that's what they look like. Look at them, all nice and crunchy. Perfect. They look great and nice and dry. I like to feel everything, make sure it's dry. So now I'm going to take it upstairs and I will put it in some Ziploc bags for temporary storage until I put it into Mylar bags for more permanent storage.